Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. Okay, I know I always say that I'm excited for my guest, but I am so stupid freaking excited for my guest today because not only is she like an amazing astrological business strategist, and I'm going to say keyword is business strategist. Not only is she an amazing author, she's a dear friend and an amazing human. Kim Woods has been on before. You've seen her magic before, and now you're going to hear about her new magical book. Okay, without further ado, I'm just going to bring her on. Hi.
Hi, Iris. How are you? I love the introduction. Okay, so apparently I'm amazing. Yay!
You are amazing. Like, I look forward every time I see your name, and I tell you this all the time. When I see your name on my calendar, it's like, yay. It's like, yay. So first off, some of the audience doesn't know who you are, but I really wanted to focus on business strategist because that's one of the things we really talked about. She's an astrologer. She does kick-ass astrology, but and she incorporates the astrology into the business strategy, but it's really the business strategy. You have helped me grow as a human and as a business person to where the rooms that I'm in now are stupid. And I have to tell you about one later, but I'll tell you after because you're going to die when I tell you this. But anyway, so yes, business strategy and all the things. So why don't you tell our audience about you and then talk about your delicious, wait a minute, book.
Yeah, all the things.
Something Kim does all the time. So
yeah, I do. So okay, so here's the deal. When you're thinking about business, you're thinking about, oh, okay, you know what? I need to send my emails. I need to get some clients. I need to deliver services or deliver products, right? So that's like kind of the baseline. When you then pop it up to strategy, you're looking at the overview of what are my intentions? What do I want to do? Where are my goals? What is my big vision for my business? When you pop it up from that, you're looking at industry trends. What's going on in my field, my niche, my community, my industry? Pop it up over that. What are the economic, purview and levers that are either growing the economy in your industry or not? Then you look over that, there's astrology. I do all of it. Well, I don't do the operational things. I help you with the operational things, whether you need clarification or you need help with your team or something like that. But all the other things, that's what I do.
Yeah, 100%. And you do it like kick-ass because everybody that I know that works with you like raves about you. So, because I can rave about you all day, I'm biased, but other people have just raved about you constantly and the results, right? Because it's all about results. I was talking about that with Krista. It's like everybody who works with me, all of these reviews are, Iris is great to work with and she's this and she's that. And I'm like, talk about the results now. So now I have people leaving me reviews for the results because that's what really gets it.
And it's so interesting. So, so I just wrote the book, right? And so the book is coming out in 2 weeks from our recording.
And it's called
The New Era Millionaire.
Yeah.
Wait for it, subtitle, Uncharted Success for the Visionary Rebel.
That's right.
Right. So, and what's the deal with that? So we'll talk about the book and all the things, but we're talking about client results. So when you write something that's going to be 300 pages, you are really taking a step back and you're saying, okay, what does the audience want to read? What's going to be really super helpful? And we all know, because we've all been around the block some, that you want to do story when you're incorporating some messaging. You want to have results and the value proposition or the ROI or the numbers. You want to have the relational, like, oh, this is me, that identification. You want to have the case studies. You want to have some imagery. Does this feel like the place I'm in? Does it, that emotional kind of connection, right? So I wrote the book and of course I had all those things in there. This is crazy. I know I put 80 stories in there, like 80. So there were like a handful of case studies. There's a handful of the identifiers, handful of stories, handful of ROI, whatever, but there are 80. When I went through final review, I realized that I was solely focused on my personal brand company now. And if I ever talk about my experience at Oracle, I will just say, oh, I worked at Oracle and I was in corporate and I'll kind of end it there. but they used to fly me around the country to close deals. That's because I had my own consulting practice within them. And my goal there was to be the number one practice that everybody wanted to work at, because think about it. Best clients, best results, best resources, best team, all that. Yeah, we made it. We hit it out of the park all the time on that. But the sales piece, right? So what do you need to do when you're going into sales? Well, you need to be able to tell story. You need to be able to relate what that person is going through to where they want to go, and then prove that you can get them there. So I had a crazy indoctrination in this without even realizing I had an indoctrination, right? So when I first start working with a client, I'm thinking of two things. When I was at Oracle, I would say end of job, because they were spending millions of dollars on a project, right? Like, and client consultants would just like to ring the cash register. And I'm like, no. End of job. I never lost that. So I never lost the results lens. I never lost the ROI lens. And I never lost the quote unquote end of job. So, my goal, I love my clients. Like, I'm always sad when they graduate, right? Like, and I say graduate because they've moved beyond needing my services. So two things. One is I am always going to ensure that I am in a growth or an expansion for potential far beyond them, or else I can't grow. They can't grow, right? And the other thing is I'm always going to be focused on what is it that they're looking for, like right now, and strategy, and at the end, right? So,
I never want to not need your services. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, I do. I've had clients since 2018, right? When I started this personal brand business, right? But I do have clients that come in for 6 months and they're like, you know what? I adore you. This is great. And I'm good. Perfect. Oh my God. Whatever works for you is wonderful. But here I am. I'm at the end of this book. I'm doing all these things, right? And I realized I didn't put one story about my former company in between Oracle and in between this. And that's where I was working with, firms that were in the hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So I had one story, I think, from Oracle that we have a $50 billion company. I put like two more in, and I put a handful in of the Sea Change Storage, which was my other business. And now I think I have like 88 stories in this book, right? So think about it. If you divide that by 30, can I do math in my head? I don't know. That's like every few pages. It's like every 4 pages. I have crazy.
But it's amazing because your book. So I had the privilege to get like a little bit of a pre-peek. And it's amazing. And the way that what I love about it is, yes, you wrote the book, but you have these amazing groups, right? That people go to, and that was really bad. You have groups people go to. It's like use your words, signature strategies, yeah. And it's like RPL and all that. And this book is really the perfect roadmap to get them from reading this book into those groups. And as somebody who is in those groups, and I know the value that those groups, provide, and not just with you, because you provide like ridiculous value, but also the people that are in it, because you get to bounce the ideas off of, you get to share your happiness and your misery, like all of the stuff that people go through, right? Because it's up and down. But this book is like this amazing roadmap that guides people to it. And I can't wait for it to come out. That's why I'm like, oh my God, come on the podcast. Let's talk about it, because let's get this thing in front of people, because people need to see this.
I thank you so much. So this is my 9th book, right? So I've done the book writing process, and I've done it by myself. I've done it with a publisher. I've done all the things. This, I hired a publisher who wasn't concerned about promotion. She was concerned about the book itself. And
she's amazing herself. Yeah.
Yeah. Amy Collette of the Unleash Your Inner Author.
She's amazing. Yes.
Right. So she held the space for me to determine what the book was going to be, because I create content all the time. I'm whether I'm divinely inspired or whether it's just based on experience. Like I've this will be my 9th book published, right? But I have like 10 others that are probably like 200 pages out of 300 pages filled, because whether they're from programs that I've done, this is before I'm doing Rich and Powerful Leaders Academy, or whether it's, some program we were thinking of doing in a recorded space or whatever. But I've had hundreds of hours of video, hundreds of hours of program itself. And then I have just I don't even know how much. Like my team used to call it like the Mary Poppins. Like it's like Kim's computer is like Mary Poppins.
She's
like
coming out of the bag.
You need 500 rituals. She's got them. You need intuitive business strategy. She's got that. You need a sales, function. She's got that. So when you think about coming to a book, you say, okay, what is going to be in the book, but more importantly, what is not going to be in the book. And so when I have the predecessor to this book is voluminous. It was 450 pages. It wasn't really going anywhere. It was too much, too big. And so I worked with Amy for that. And I looked at her, I'm like, this isn't the book. I don't know. I'm like, I need to stop. Now we had gone through we had probably had 10 or 12 meetings, and I had gone through all this writing and all this work and everything. I'm like, it's not the book. And at that time I didn't know what the book was. And so I took a hiatus for like 6 months, and then we had a meeting, and I said, I still don't know what the book is, which was shocking to me. Right. And so she asked me what question. She's like, and this is a question I ask my own clients. And why don't we ask ourselves our own questions, Iris? Like, isn't that the key? Right. But no, because we're too close to it. Right.
Yes.
So she said, what do you want to talk about? And the words "new era" came out of my voice, like out of my throat. So I had already been talking about it and whatever, but I didn't really wear it as the central theme of any sort of my work, right? It wasn't the central theme of my podcast. It wasn't the central theme of my signatures. It wasn't the central theme really anywhere. And so it was tangential. And so the minute I said it, I thought, holy crap. Through that lens, all of a sudden, my formula makes even more sense, because you take the stars, where are we going? Create some certainty. You take your signatures, your own energy. I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll just round out this summary. And you figure out, like, how do I relate with who I am supposed to be and what my business is and all the things. Then you take the strategies that are legit, like make sure I'm going in the right direction, make sure I'm attracting the right people and I'm working with the right people, and make sure I'm relying on the right resources. All of a sudden it was like, I had the table of contents for that book within like 3 weeks.
Wow. Because that's what was meant to come through.
That was what was meant to come through. And I still, I didn't question, but I was like, okay, how is this going to morph? How is this going to change? Because it could have legit changed. I know one thing that did change at the time, it was last summer, I was doing all the writing for the Magic Triangle, which is the 4 years of massive support, even though it doesn't feel like it in the world. But from a star perspective, everything's going to be okay. Like legit, everything's going to be okay. And I know this for sure, right? And I did probably I don't even know, 80 pages of writing about it, because it was articles and here, there, and everywhere. And so I kind of popped that in the book, and I was like, this isn't an astrology book. It's not an astrology book. So then I started telling stories about the planets, and then I started, giving them imagery. I've got some book characters. I really started kind of personalizing who they are, like personification. And out of the 300-page book, only 30 pages of it is astrology.
Wow.
And it's not even really astrology. It's like, hey, dude, the van dweller for Neptune, and didn't actually go to high school. And I explain it like that to give people the practical, what does it mean for you and why is it important?
Yeah. And that's it's so cool, because yes, you do the astrology piece, but you also do the strategy piece so well. I know when we meet, and I'm, just for you people out there, if you haven't, I'm like the what is it? The nutty professor. Did you write your notes? Yes. Where are they? I don't know. But Kim takes great notes. Thank God. And so, but you just really help with that strategic piece, and building the pillars and doing all of the things that people don't think about are connected with astrology. And so what you do is so much more than astrology. Yes, the astrology is a big part of it. However, the business strategy, that's your jam. That's your shit. And that's what I want people to know, is that she's not just this phenomenal astrologer, and, she astral travels and, do all the things that, and your business strategy, your business brain. That's what I think people need.
I agree. And so for me,
know about.
Thank you, because this was not something like, here I am a strategist, and I would love to say that the evolution of me going from working in finance, by the way, accounting and finance, then went to financial systems, then took over practice for Oracle, then came up with my own, business strategy firm that was traditional, wanted to get a little woo. No one was ready. It was because I wasn't ready. And then all of a sudden I'm doing astrology, and then I'm front faced with astrology, and here I am now. Right. So there's an evolution there. I would love to say it was a straight line and it was just like the throughput of like, gee, it was just time. No, it was, I mean, I can't even tell you. I mean, I wrote 3 children's books. Like, what is happening right now? Right. Because I didn't know, like, how do you, if you have 25 years of C-suite experience, and what does that mean? That means I was in the boardrooms. That means I was with the C-level people. That means I wasn't just, going over here and meeting with the systems people, which is really important, by the way. I had already done that. I was looking at, what is your strategy for this organization? What is your exit plan? What is your legacy? Right? I mean, I was always doing that. I'm a strategist. It just came normally to me. And so I'm making the big decisions, making the big advisements, like, are we going to sell? Are we not going to sell? Are we going to merge with these people? Is this a great, are we going to lease this? Are we going to open a division here? Are we going to close it? I mean, I was in the room helping these people make these decisions. So there's not a business thing that I haven't run into. I'll be honest with you. There's just not, right? So I can walk anywhere and I can do business. Now imagine saying, your soul doesn't shut up, by the way, because this is what happens when you're like, I've got an extremely profitable business. Clients are coming in. They're referral only. I've got a great team. Yep. Soul starts, the whispering, then the knocking, then the talking, and then the shouting.
Right.
Yeah. And then the yelling. No. And I'm like, what the literal bleep? Right? What is this all about?
You can curse on here, by the way. It's my podcast.
Right? So, yeah. Okay, right. I forgot. So I was like, what the hell? Like, so I live in Boston, Iris. You know what it's like? You walk into a networking event, and I walk in and I listen and I just talk to people, and they're like, oh, you're a business strategist. Cool. And your clients are, whoa. Let me talk to you. Right? I'd walk out with 5 clients without even trying, because I just have great conversations. Walk into that same room as an astrologer, you get the side eye. You get the, I don't really know what that means. I don't really want to know what that's all about, right? So for me to say yes to this was a big deal. And it's a big deal for everybody. I don't want to represent that it's a bigger deal for me than not. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal for everybody. So for me to say, yes, I'm a master astrologer, you and I talked about this before, like, I can overcompensate on that now. I can talk just about the stars. I can go in about like where we are in the new era and how I, know X, Y, or Z just from a star perspective. But I always have to remind myself, I'm not teaching astrology, and I don't have a bunch of astrologers following me. That's just not my jam, right? Mm-hmm. I'm working with business people. I'm working with entrepreneurs. I'm working with some corporate leaders. Oh, okay. So I need to interpret what it means. So it always comes out interpreted. I hope that's the goal, to always come out and interpret.
I mean, it does. And I think like the women in our group are like kick ass. I mean, I'm obviously not going to say their names, but, one person is in food. One person is, is making wands. One person, like there's such a variety of people, but it's all strong women business owners. And that's the key, is the business owning part, because as an entrepreneur, you need that guidance. And, yes, we're all a little woo. We're all a lot woo, but,
but there's 2 people that don't actually front face with the woo, by the way. That's okay.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that. But for me, I'm like, I got like woo everywhere, but the point, and that's the road that I was guided on. Right. So, right. But the way that you guide people, the way that you talk about next moves, the way that you talk about past moves, the way that you put all of those puzzle pieces together, that's a gift, because not everybody can do that. Not everybody can walk in as an astrologer, as a business strategist, and be like, yeah, okay, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Thank you. So people have asked me, because I've been on a million, TV interviews and all the other things. So people ask me, like, so did you do this before? Because I talk about, very traditional, very corporate, then Oracle and all the things.
Right.
I had a consultant at Oracle. He was my right hand, and he would say, I could see you walking in. I was in 4 states a week. I had 30 people reporting to me. I had a very robust client roster because I was really good at selling, right? And so I was flying all around. I was doing all these things. I mean, I had a great team. I delegated. I did all that, right? But I used to say to my clients, when you see me, I'm asking for money or I'm solving a problem. Right. So that's where I am. Right. So I'd walk in. He said, I see you walk in, you're pulling your wheelie bag or whatever we used to call them. And he said, and I'd watch you, and you'd walk into the conference room. And he said, I could literally see that client's business model download in front of you. Those are words he used back in like the mid 90s. Right. And I'm like, I don't know what happened, but it's true, because I had to stop. I mean, it was crisis management, right? Like, I was there to do whatever. Someone's going to yell at me because something was broken, or somebody's going to yell at me because I was asking for money, right? Like, so fine. And before the sale, they're like asking me really big questions, and we're solving problems and improving that the team can do all the things. So it was contentious a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why one of the reasons I adopted the ability to be like, okay, I am wearing you right now. And that's exactly what happens with my clients. I literally wear you when I'm in the room with you.
Oh, 100%. And you using that, that phrase wearing, because of you, I now wear my business, and I wear all of it. I was in a meeting the other day with a client that it was supposed to be SEO only. It's everything. It's like everything. And it was, and I was ready for it though. A year ago, I would have been in the meeting and been like, oh shit, you want what? Right. And this time it was like, okay, so you need this, and this. I got you. I'm going to send you a proposal. I got you. I'm going to save you $50,000 a year. And
100%.
And it was like an amazing thing. And I remember I got in the car and I called my wife, and I said, so that turned differently. I said, because she'll give me a hard time about, my coaches and stuff like that. Like, do you really need to blah, blah, blah? And I said, you asked me the question, do I really need? And the answer was so proved in this meeting, because had I not been in the coaching and working with like you and Krista, right? I don't think I would have been ready for that meeting.
Oh, 100%. Oh, right? 100%.
And I was just like, I wore my shit. Like, I was a little nervous in it. I'm going to be honest, right? But I completely wore it. And I said to her, and that is the difference of who I was last year and who I am this year. And, I asked to be put in the right rooms. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I do my thing, and I'm getting put in the right rooms. I'm ready for the right rooms because of your guidance and because of your coaching. And, and I will call it coaching, but, it is, and that's why when I see you on my calendar, I'm like, yay, because I know I'm going to get all of this stuff that's going to take me to that next level. I don't work with startups anymore. I don't want to, right? I know. Yeah, I stopped talking about them even.
But because here I'm just gonna go in for your audience, is that there are people that are meant to work with the startup. Now, we can talk about it as a business startup. We can talk about it starting up in a new fitness regime. We can talk about starting up in a new learning of some sort, whether it's financial or intuitive or otherwise. But they're awakeners. Their energy is different than your energy. So that's what I do. This is where it's different. So you have a business, strategist or consultant, whatever the title you want to use. They're legit going to help you. They're going to help you set up your strategy. They're going to help you set up the best business foundation. They're going to help you hire the right people, like hopefully, depending on what they're doing, right? They're going to help you focus on the top and bottom lines. They're going to make sure you have systems, and right, like hopefully that's what they're doing, right? You can concentrate in sales and marketing and whatever. There's lots of different things you can concentrate on, but a generalist is going to kind of look at all that stuff. My issue with that was, and this is why my soul started screaming at me, was that I could never get to the root of the problem. Like, I could give systems and solutions and strategies, but we were always duct taping on top of if somebody had a money block, or if somebody didn't have good communication skills and it wasn't just a skill building issue, if somebody couldn't delegate because they were fearful that they were going to be losing part of their job or they couldn't give up control, right? So the work I do now, it's astrology, but it's also intuitive, and that's energetic too, plus the business strategy. So there's like that threefold. And so when I looked at your energy, I was like, not startup. Not startup, but I knew you felt comfortable there because the relatively new, business solution set and all the other things. So the other thing I won't do is I will not fire hose somebody. I always say this to my clients, and you can attest to this, Iris. It doesn't matter that I know; it matters that you know.
Yes, and you let us get there. Like you don't,
100%.
like you said, you don't like turn the fire hose on and go. This is what you need.
I know.
Drip it. It's like a little drip. It's like okay.
Now you're ready for this.
Turn the faucet on a little more until you're actually ready for it. And that's what you did. And it's amazing. It's just an amazing, it's an amazing place to be. And it's an amazing, thing to witness. Right. Like I love watching you in our group talk to the other people. And I love, of course, when you pay attention to me, but
yeah.
But when you are guiding the other people and the look on their face, it says everything. And even when you make people cry, because you make people cry a lot.
I know. It happens.
but it's because you're getting to that core. And there are so many people out there that don't, even people that are in the intuitive space. I mean, I've worked with other people and I love them all. But you were who spoke to me.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to go anywhere. I'm not afraid to go anywhere. Like that's the key, right? So because and I say this to you all too, and I say this out in the world too. I mentioned it earlier, is that if I am not in that full range of potential of wherever you want to go, need to go, are required to go, then I'm only delivering a portion of what I could be. And I'm only serving you in a portion of what I could be, right? So my thing is I look at it like I can say for business, for real, there isn't a business circumstance I haven't walked into. Can I say that totally from an energetic perspective? Yes, but no, right? Because I am not a therapist. I'm not a trauma specialist, right? So if someone, but let's just, finish that sentence. But I will definitely suggest somebody, hey, guess what? This is what you need to do. I'm not afraid to have conversations with people. I will go anywhere. So I remember my first group, there was a woman who was just this was a handful of years ago. She was just not willing to go a certain place, right? And I was like, I'm patient. I'm groovy girl. And so, but I knew it, I knew she was going to get mad because that's what can sometimes happen, right? So she was going to get pissed off. She showed up in this group and it's 20 people in the group at the time. She showed up and she was pissed off. And I won't name her name, right? But I'll call her something else. I'll call her, Stephanie. No, that's not her name. It's just not her name at all, but I'll just say it. Or let's just call her Julie. I'm going to say Julie. And so, I was like, Julie, what's going on? And I literally stopped the whole meeting, right? It was magic seat, so I could. So that means that people come in and I was doing, but she wasn't in the magic seat. And I was like, we need to address this because if she's feeling this way, a lot of other people are feeling this way because it just happens. That's just the way energy works.
Yeah.
So I went in and she was I couldn't believe she was right. And I'm like, bring it. Come on, bring it. Absolutely. I want to go here. Absolutely. We're going here. And so, of course, it was because she was mad at herself because she wasn't, doing the things that I was teaching and whatever. And we worked through it. And everybody else was just like, holy crap. I don't know of a lot of other business coaches that will let somebody be so incredibly angry, almost rage filled with 19 other people in the room.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. We're going to do this because it needs to be done.
And you do that, you give that space, and you call people. You call me out on my shit all the time, which I love and that's one of the things that I need. It's that's why my relationship with my wife work, and I'm really serious because all my relationships before they didn't call me out on my shit. And if you don't, I'm just going to do the thing. Heather, it's there's and it's 23 years this year. So, but for me, and it's not. It's not that I try to do things, on purpose, ooh, what can I get away with? But it's a matter of, I can get lazy. I can forget to do something. I can whatever. And you're like, did you do that thing? And you're like, I already know you didn't. And I'd be like, yeah, no. and you're not like, well, why didn't you do it? You're like,
Yes.
okay, we're just going to take up from here and we're going to do this. And you are going to do this next time or you get mad, So, but I do it.
No,
It takes some time.
It's literally, it's your soul. Like, so this is where, and so I want to talk about this, but then I want to talk about the book too, is that
we got to talk about the book. That's the whole
I
thing.
don't have an agenda. I mean, of course, I have your best interest at heart. I have your soul mission in mind. I have the stepped path, but I don't know in what order we're going to do it. I don't know how many times we're going to circle around things because creation is a spiral, right? I don't know what you're going to say yes to. It's going to be super easy and what you're going to say no to. That, I mean, I know, but I don't know. No, I don't know what else is going to come up in your life, right? So that's why the space has to be so big, but it's based on your soul. Like your soul is the one running the agenda. And I do want to, like, talking about the book, the book is a soul level book with tremendous practical business advice in it. Like, I mean, doesn't that sound like completely wacky?
No, knowing you and being in your space, no. And I think I wrote something on this. It's like, this book is for people who, honestly, they're like missing something, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, whatever it is that you're missing, this is it. Because there just talk about it, because it's just so filled with amazing goodness that,
So the preface of the entire book is that we are in a time where all the paradigms are shifting. Outdated models don't work. What worked last year doesn't work now. What worked last month doesn't work now. What works now won't work next month. We are just in a massive transition point right now. And that transition, I've dubbed new era. People are finally catching on. It could be new earth, a new time, unconventional, like whatever you want to term it doesn't matter. But there's an energetic embodiment piece with that. That's number one. Number two, there's a dismantling that's going on. And number three, there's a certain way that we have not been showing up for ourselves as an entire collective. And so knowing that's the backdrop of the book, like, how do you help people in completely unfamiliar territory without any lights, without any tools, without any knowing, navigate their way through it? That's the goal of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I address things on 3 different levels because people come into things differently, right? So I address it for the mind. I give a lot of information. I give a lot of insight into what's coming, to create certainty. Again, I give a lot of takeaway tips, and they're very, black and white, like, and very practical. Then I go in energetically. Right? This is where the signatures come in. Like, you take the quiz. You're a loving alchemist. I'm an intuitive visionary. That means I come to things through, like, my mind from a solution perspective. You come at it through action or inaction. Even though your mind is still robust, it's like, yes, but my mind just got like the freak, so therefore I'm not going to do anything. Or my mind is too overloaded, which means I'm going to do a ton. That's different than intuitive visionary. Intuitive visionary gets swept up with the ideas itself. Like, they're just like, so then they're going to get distracted. It doesn't drive action or inaction, right? But knowing those are just 2 out of the 6 signatures. Knowing that is really important. So I go into the signatures. I go into their superpowers. I go into their strengths. I go into their relative weaknesses. I go into, just from a who you are perspective. Then I go into the leadership aspect. Then I go into the business aspect. So out of these 300 pages, and there are 6 signatures, I think each signature has at least 30 or 40 pages just for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do it through like, here's what the stars are doing. Here's your grand vision. Here's your cosmic destiny. Here's how you step into your future. Then I do it at these are the people, this is the connections. These are what the strengths you want to rely on. These are the ones that you're like, you're stressed over here. You get exhausted over here. You get some lack stuff. Let's go through all that. And then I go through strategies. Okay, now we're ready to do the business stuff. How are you making decisions? What is your leadership style? What is your communication style? How do you network? I did a very generic approach to that. So this book, I mean, and I have to tell you, like, even the internal design is next level. Like, this book is next level.
I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to get it. So.
Yeah. So, and I wrote it for people who have had success and who are wondering why they're not having continued success. The things that used to work don't work anymore. They thought they found their footing. They don't really. And they're going through a shift, even if they're not recognizing that they're going through a shift. And if they're not, they want to go through the shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how did you come up with the title?
So I'm going to give another shout out to another person, right? I'm terrible at naming things. Okay. 2 things that I'm really bad at. Technology, bad. Yes, even though I was at Oracle, I had a team, right? So yeah, it wasn't me doing all the things, right? Bad. And naming things, bad titling, bad taglines, bad headlines, bad. I'll come up with the essence, but not exactly the right words, right? Because I'd rather have a paragraph to explain it. Okay. So knowing this, another dame, I'm going to name her too, Hannah McKittrick. So we worked together in the Boston chapter for the dames, right? And I was talking to her and I was like, the book, and she's like, I can feel the energy. This was like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. I can feel the energy. I'm like, I know, it's like we're turning into something else. And I'm like, I suck at naming things. She's like, I got you, girl. She's like, that's one of my superpowers. So I was like, fair. I said, when I get to that point, and that's exactly what happened. 6 months later, I said, okay, I'm ready to name it now. She's like, I got you. So we hopped into a Zoom. We just kind of, rattled around a bunch of things. We came up with like 2 or 3. And then I wordsmithed until we came up with this one.
Excellent. Because it's perfect. Even like the subtitle is perfect.
Well, that's the thing. We did 2 different ones, and then when they came together,
because you do work with rebels.
I know, right? Oh,
yeah.
If you're believing in astrology, so this is what I've been saying too, which I think people are really excited about, is that astrology is going to become what massage therapy has become or yoga has become. Mm-hmm. It was really fringy for both those things, 30 years ago. Astrology, because we've got Amazon, we've got Fast Company, we have Google, we have, Goldman Sachs. We've got, there's so many businesses that are using it now. Yeah. And then there's so many businesses that I know are using it because of the timing of things, even if they're admitting it or not. Right. So pretty soon it's going to become the thing. But we touched on it, but not really, Iris, in that astrology, it's a dopamine hit to know, it's a full moon today, because it is.
It is. That's right. It's a strawberry moon today.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a full moon today. Yay. Yep. And then you can know 2 or 3 things, and that's really great. I adore that. I think everybody doing that is an amazing thing. But honestly, I say, so what? So what that it's a full moon today and it's a strawberry moon? You might go out and see it. That would be really cool if it's a clear night and you remember to do it. You might light a candle or something. You might hold a crystal. Still, so what? What are the energies of it and what can you do with that in order to be able to whatever you want to do? Remove a block, celebrate something, create something, whatever it is. That's the essence for me. That's the game changer for me.
Wow. And it's funny because, Krista and I are meeting later. We're going to work on the proposal. And I looked at the day and I was like, of course. Because timing, I think that the other thing too is, when people start working with you, timing is fucked up. It's just like, I can't even, the amount of times I'll look at the clock and it's 11:11 or 4:44 or 5:55 and, I'm thinking of you or I'm doing something that, I'm working on or whatever the thing is. It's like it's like a kismet thing. It just happens. And I follow it now because I literally know that this is my soul and it's my soul journey. It's my soul talking to me. I used to be like, okay, whatever. And it's like, no, you need to listen to this. Like it's telling you something. So, listen. And I think so many of us don't.
Yeah.
And that's
easy not to.
100%. And so I'm encouraging people not only to go out and get the book, book a call with Kim. Your life will not be the same for the better because it's just so, it has made me look at things differently. I approach things differently. I do things differently. My relationships are different. Like I seek different relationships because I know what aligns with me now and what doesn't. And it's all through this. It's all through the signatures. So I have a question for you. Because I took the test a couple of times. Can your signature change, or your signature is just always your signature?
Okay, here's the thing. So we've got some people that just keep taking it because they're just going to like take it.
I only
right?
did it like 3 times because I know
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
So what I will say to people is the first time they take it, that result is 95% right because you're doing it instinctively, right? So here's the thing. Yes, the signature can change because the signature is about how you enter the world. So you either enter your world through your mind. That's the wise strategist and the intuitive visionary. That's where, what do I know? What don't I know? How is my mind going to solve this? That's that. And prevalent. We all have everything, but that's the prevalent one. The ruling warrior and the collaborative explorer enters the world through, who do I know? Who am I connected with? Who am I not connected with? How is that relationship aspect? Whether collaborative explorer is side by side, ruling warrior likes to be the ruler or the leader, right? So they always want to stay ahead. They challenge themselves. They compete. Well, then you've got the loving alchemist, of which you are one, and you have the creative superstar. That's where the action and inaction comes. And again, it's not like you can meet somebody that can trigger you. The difference is a collaborative explorer might kind of like be doing things to massage that relationship. A creative superstar is going to run away. A loving alchemist is either going to become paralyzed or go in and say, let's solve this. And it might be healthy or unhealthy the way they do that. There can be some power plays there. So because of that orientation, of course, you can evolve to another signature. I've got to tell you, with all the people that I've worked with, over 22,000 people have taken it. I've worked with hundreds of people over long periods of time. They very infrequently change. They just very infrequently, because you have a natural inclination. And think about how many decades that's been natural for you, right? So I've got one in particular, wise strategist, who insists that she's an intuitive visionary. She's not an intuitive visionary. She's not. She's not. That's okay. It doesn't matter because that's what she thinks from her orientation. So great. Oh my God, if that's helpful to you, they're meant to be helpful. They're meant to be identifiers. They're meant to help you guide your path, right? In lieu of being able to look at your stars and adjacent to looking at the stars in the sky, right? So, as you come close into my container, like the first blush people have with me are the stars. What's going on with the stars? Forecast, whatever, right? Second blush they have is, ooh, my energy relates to this. Okay, I'm going to take the quiz. I'm going to know what's going on because I inform people. If the next orientation is that they come in closer, I'm going to walk through the stars the minute you're born. I am going to channel the voice of your soul. That is going to guide our work together. And oh, by the way, the work can be, look, you need some marketing plan, like for you, it was like, we need to set up your service offerings. We need to put that container in. So just because your soul's leading that doesn't mean that it's all like, oh, hum-diddy-dum, we're going to begin to do ritual. There's very practical applications with that. But the best trifecta, it's stars in the sky with business strategy, your stars with business strategy, and then your signature with your personal orientation. That's like the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I make decisions now, it's probably 90% intuitive. Where it was never that before. It was always, I don't even know how I used to make decisions. It's so funny because it's like I feel like life BK and life AK. It's like before Kim and after Kim. Right? Like how I used to
all the time
figure stuff out. And even walking into a meeting, what's so funny. So last week I walked into a meeting and I knew within 5 minutes, and it would have been like pretty decent. I was like, no, like I knew. And I normally would never walk away from that because it was a good amount. Like I can't even tell my wife.
Sometimes money's too expensive. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Sometimes money's too expensive.
It just felt icky. Like walking into the room, it was like, ooh, this doesn't feel right. And then having the conversation like 10 minutes in, it was like, no. And I was there for, I think, like 45 minutes. And I was like, great. I'll get back to you and whatever. And then I sent an email, and the email was basically like, thank you so much for meeting with me. I just don't think we're a good fit. I can make some referral, some introductions to you with people who I think can help you. And as I'm typing it, I'm like, who are you? Because I don't do that.
Yeah.
But
it's so good. I mean, think about this. What you're telling, your soul is aligning with who's true for you. And you want those clients that make you feel yummy. I mean, when I first started this business, it was within the first year, maybe 18 months. I walked away from a $3 billion client.
Holy crap.
Guy was a douchebag.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I don't mind that. Like, oh, please, I am all, I have no problem with that. But your mind's not open to this at all. You're placating someone else. You're just giving me
Mm,
lip service. Like, oh, you'll hire me because a few $100,000 isn't really any real money for you. I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that at all. And at the time, that would have been a really big, delta for my business. I was like, not doing it.
yeah.
Absolutely not. And I knew within the first second.
Wow.
So I had a from my perspective to him, it was a relatively patronizing conversation and just like placated and just like kind of fed his ego. And then I was out, done. No follow up. We're done.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes money's too expensive.
Interesting. I love that. Money's too expensive. We gotta get a t-shirt or something for that.
That was a quote that I said for, years, probably like a whole decade. Yeah. It's
So
true.
what do you want the audience to know?
So what I want the audience to know is that so my big deal with this book is that, yes, I wrote a book and that's great. And a lot of people will want to sell the book, right? Like, oh, I want to get them bestsellers list. I want to sell X copies or whatever. My thing is that I want you to read the book. I want this book to become a reference guide, just like my annual forecast, guides are, where they're dog-eared and they're, highlighted and people are like, this is my Bible for the year. I want this to be that for people so that they get to know more of who they are and they get to understand that, okay, I don't want to look for external validation or be not being able to make a decision or stick to a decision or be in the wrong rooms or be spending too much money on things. I want to be clear about exactly who I am, exactly what I want, and exactly what the right next steps are. That's what this book will do. So I want you to read the book. I want you to follow the book. I want you to follow its guidance. And then if you feel moved to either listen to the podcast or come work with me, reach out.
Awesome. So I have to get this question in because everybody loves this question. So if there's somebody listening who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, is this book for them? What advice do you have for that? Like, what does this even, align?
Yeah, absolutely it does because, my ideal client may be someone who's in that, multi-6, multi-7, even 8 figures, even 9 figures, like, right? Like, so that's my bailiwick. But as you know, I have people that are in that startup blush and they just know that their soul is trying to tell them something and they don't quite know what it is. So it always starts with you. That's what I want everybody to know. It always starts with you. What is your energy like? What are your stressors? What makes you exhausted? What gives you energy? What kind of lack inhibitors do you have? What kind of abundance openings do you have? I go through all that in the book, right? So for you to recognize who you are, and how you want to lean into yourself. And you definitely want to take the quiz. You definitely do because you want to know what your signature is, right? And then if you start following this guidance, your life will start to shift and your business, whether it's started or not started or finished or wherever you are on that, will also shift because it's based on you. I don't care how big your business is.
I love that. That's so awesome. It's funny because I'm like thinking of, our group and one in particular person who, wasn't sure what they were going to do, but now they're sure what they're going to do, and getting them to do it. What I love about you and, this book is that it really paints that clear picture. And I think, and I always go back to roadmap because it's just like this map because, you can't be able to listen to your intuition unless you already can. But if you aren't able to do these things yet, if you're not able to hear what your soul is saying to you, if you're not able to, hear all of the things, this is the map to be able to do it. This is what I truly feel because that's what you did. And I'll go back to me, you laid out the roadmap and, it's like you can lead a horse to water, but they're not necessarily going to drink. Right. And there's sometimes where you will draw a map and somebody's like, oh, squirrel. And, me.
Wait, who's like that, Iris? Who's
That's why
like
I
that,
held
my
my
friend?
hand up. I call myself out. But the thing is you let me squirrel. You
Mm-hmm.
probably sit there and you're like, oh, good Lord. But I do it and then I come back
Mm-hmm.
because I have to squirrel, but I squirrel way less now than I did.
I know, 100%,
And
right?
that's the cool thing.
That's a cool thing. So you talked about the roadmap. I mean, there is literally a roadmap, and there's literally a roadmap in this book, right? It's 5 parts. It's the breakdown, the breakthrough, the discovery, the rebuild, and the radiance.
Mm.
Right? I mean, like done. And each part is delineated, and there's each section is very intentional, and you know exactly where you are in the book. I mean, so and then when we talk about the signatures, right? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Okay, the intuitive visionaries, we're not going to read the book cover to cover. Like, I mean, how excruciating was it for me to write it and then go through it 6 times to edit and then proof it and then, please, right? Intuitive visionaries let the page fall. They see what happens and they kind of zip around the book, and then great. Every intuitive visionary, I welcome you to do that. Why Strategist, Loving Alchemist, you two are going to read the books. Like you legit going to read the book cover to cover. It's all going to be good. Collaborative Explorer is going to want to do it with a group, right? They're just going to want to have some other, whether it's formal or informal. Ruling Warrior is going to be bottom line. What's in it for me? They're only going to go through the Ruling Warrior sections, right? So in some of their sections, I'm like, if you have skipped this, go back to this because it matters.
I love that.
Yep.
Good. That's
Who
awesome.
have I met? Oh, and then Creative Superstar, all the stories are from them. Like and everybody loves story, but the Creative Superstars can identify, and that's one of the reasons why I have so many in there.
That is, I love that. But I love that you put that little thing in there, like, you can't skip this.
100%. Oh, and for intuitive vision, like, I don't know if I caught you on the right page, but hopefully I did. But you know what? Just hold the book and you'll be fine.
Wow. Okay, so it's coming out on the 25th. So it's actually a week from tomorrow because this is going to air on the 17th.
Yep.
And so a week from tomorrow, what do you want? What do you want for this next week? Like, how do you want people to, get excited about it? Like, what are the things that you want to get out of this next week leading up to?
100%. So I would love for people, so what I'm doing is a little bit different than what most people do. I mean, I'm doing an online streaming activation for people.
I know that. I can't freaking wait for that. Sorry.
I know. So it's next level. It is changed because this is what ends up happening. It's like you get into the energies, you think you're going to do one thing. I have revamped this 3 times. Because I don't remember what it was before. Whatever it was before, it doesn't even matter. But I just did it like last week because I was like, oh crap, it's changed again. My poor, people that are like doing all the, like the descriptions and the social media and all the other stuff, right? So it's now coming in as the decoding or the recoding of the new era with a glimpse at the wealth codes. Right. So not to the level that we did in Rich Powerful Leaders because I don't have that container. And so therefore that would be just, not good for me to do that. But in that more public container, what that can mean. So because this is a soul-led wealth formula. I mean, that's what the book is, right? So for you to be able to have either taken the quiz, right? You can go to neweraquiz.com. It's the original quiz. So for anybody who's already taken the quiz, it's the original quiz, right? I'm just aligning the naming with it. And so you can take that, you can find out what your signature is. And there's a whole web page, right? That goes in and says, if you're a creative superstar, here are 8 podcast episodes that you can listen to.
Yes.
Only like 5 minutes each, right? Like they're not that long. So you can kind of get a vibe for that if you want to do that. Of course, we have email sequences and whatnot, but you can get kind of just kind of get a vibe. And then when you think about it, the book is coming out in 2 formats, which is really important. It's coming out as the ebook, ease of use. People can have it on their tablet. They can refer back to it. They can bookmark things, really easy for them to have. The other thing is the hardcover is coming out because earthly energy really matters. So for the hardcover, so, a lot of people are going to buy both. I know they are. If you like one format versus another, they're both going to be available to you.
I'm getting the hardcover.
So, yeah, right. So, I mean, yeah, so it's just like, what do you want to hold in your hands? And so from that perspective, fabulous. But the event activation, it is streaming across the platforms. So could you go back and watch it? Sure. For however long LinkedIn and YouTube and whatever is going to be up there, or however long we're going to keep it up there. I don't have any plans to delete it, really quickly, but it's the new moon in Cancer. This is one of the best astrological days of the year. when I talked to Amy last year, it was like 14 months ago, and I said, the book needs to come out on June 25th, 2025.
Of course you did.
I didn't have one word written. She looked at me, she's like, okay. She knows how fast I write. She knows how fast I edit. She knows how fast I make decisions, right? So she was like, okay, I will tell you, this book didn't land fully until the end of February. So we have been at the speed of light, but it just kept being like, it's not exactly right. It's not, you're not really in the new energies enough. Like you're too front facing with this, or you didn't go in enough of that. Like, and so the book became what the book wanted to become. But I will tell you, I've never written anything close to what this is. And I've written a lot.
I know. I have 3 of your books that you gifted me last year. I actually read well, not the whole thing, but like the dog-eared part that I have, I actually read that, which was like 10 pages, which the fact that it took me, since October to freaking read it was just like, this is
perfect timing. Perfect timing.
But yeah, and I love that you just like knew what date it had to come out, because, and that's the other thing with you, you forecast, like nothing you do is accidental. Mm-mm. And that's huge. Like there are some people that kind of just like, I don't know, meander or whatever. You are so intentional when you do stuff. And that is so important to the audience, but also to your clients. Mm-hmm. Because that's where the value comes in. It's like you are intentional with each. I know that every time I am in a session with you, you've worn me before. I've gotten in there. You make me wear me, and everything it's just very. And you're like, do you want to do this first? Do you want to do this first? And then you're like, actually, we're going to do this first. And it's
or what? Yeah. So like we're going to do this, all the things. I don't care what order they're in.
Right, but we are going to do them, and I think that's so important, because I've worked with coaches before where it's like, it's not as robust as this. Mm-hmm. So knowing how robust and intentional you are, I know that's, and that's why I'm getting the hard copy, because I have a shelf of books that, people have sent me and given me, and I don't read, I really don't read, which is like terrible. Your stuff I read.
Thank you. And so, you know what my best thing was, like this, I mean, so Amy has read, what have you, to do edits, right? Big global edits. And then the layout person. So my designer, right? So we were on a call a bit ago, and each one of them were talking. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? They're like, it was so hard for us to not be drawn into reading the book. Like we had to keep reminding ourselves, like, no, I'm doing layout. No, I'm doing layout. No, because the book just kept drawing me in. And then Amy was like, oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I was fearful I was going to miss. We hired a line editor and a proofreader, so no worries. And even the proofreader said it too. Like I couldn't stop reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what, I mean, and that's the beauty of who you are and who you embody and what you do. And the fact that like you've written this, there's no way that people aren't going to just be like, sucking it all up. Like, I can't wait. And I know I don't want to push like the hour, but, yep. Where can people find you? Like how, like talk all about all the things.
Yeah. So the book, we'll start with the book first. It's neweramillionaire.com. All the things are going to be there, whether you want to go to the event, whether you want to get a, sneak peek at the book, whether, you want to take a quiz, like, yeah, right. You don't want to miss the event, obviously. Yeah, honestly. So that's neweramillionaire.com. Boom. If you're like, well, you know what? I don't really care about the book, but what this quiz thing sounds really cool. Go to neweraquiz.com. It takes you to the original quiz. Don't worry, but we just got the URL. If you're like, well, I don't really like to read and I don't care about the signatures and I don't really care about anything, but who is Kim? Go to kimwoods.com.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's on LinkedIn also. And
yes,
and listen to this podcast. Like she does like this little forecast thing every week. Like just start following Kim, and shit's going to change for you. I promise you that. Okay. And the last question that I ask everybody, because I have to ask this every single thing, is what lights your fire?
And I think I don't want to give I'm not going to give the same answer. Okay. I'm going to give a different answer. I usually say magic. This book, I got to tell you, like, no, for real. I mean, I can't even tell you how strong and how powerful and how impactful impactful this book is. I've never said that about anything that I've done before in my life.
Wow.
I've never said it.
Well, and everybody else is going to say it. Hang on one second. Thank you so much for taking time out of your, I know, insane day. Like I already know your schedule. I'm going to say goodbye and I'm coming right back. Everybody, thank you so, so much. Remember, June 25th, buy the book. Go online, find out where the activation is. We'll put it in the show notes. Sign up for the activation because that is going to change your life. Like I'm telling you, I know you've watched me do like 100+ episodes. I don't think you've ever seen me this jazzed. I am so freaking jazzed for this. I can't even begin to tell you. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, review, leave a couple of nuggets that you've gleaned from this episode. And I appreciate you all. And I'm rushing because this is like a crazy day. I appreciate you all. Thank you for letting me get to do this. And until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.